Every year, many people in the United States dream of becoming rich overnight. They see stories about people winning big in the lottery. The glitter of money and a better life shines in their eyes. Lots of people come from small towns like Pineville, hoping luck might change their lives. John, a friendly man from Ohio, worked hard every day at the shoe factory. He sent money back to his mother and his two sisters. Like many others, when John saw an online message saying he had won a lottery, it felt like a dream come true. However, economic crime has become a growing problem. Fraudsters use the hope of good fortune to trick honest people. These criminals do not care about the pain they leave behind. In recent years, police in places like Texas and California have received hundreds of reports. Men and women, sometimes even students just out of school, get emails or phone calls from fake lottery companies. They are told, "You are the lucky winner," and they start to build castles in the air. Sadly, many believe in this false promise. Some people, like Mrs. Brown from New York, lost her savings because she trusted a stranger's call. She cared for her young son, hoping to give him better shoes and warm meals. Now, because of these scams, she struggles to pay her bills or buy medicine. Jackie, a high school senior in Michigan, used her whole college fund because she wanted to help her family. The hope of new opportunities and a secure future made her take risks. This issue touches all kinds of people: workers, older adults, even the very young. Local news shows tell stories of families ripped apart by economic crimes like fake lotteries. Authorities want to stop it, but technology changes fast. Every time the police learn new tricks, the scammers find new ways. The internet makes it easy for these crooks to reach homes across the world, and sometimes children have to watch their parents cry. Economic struggle makes the problem worse. When jobs are lost and family incomes drop, people look for small rays of hope. For many, the idea of winning the lottery feels like a miracle waiting to happen. The cruel people behind fake lottery scams know this, so they send more messages when times are hard. Community groups and teachers try to warn their friends and students. They share flyers at the library and hold talks at churches. Sometimes it helps, but sometimes dreams are more powerful. Even after hearing the warnings, people still hope that, just this once, the miracle will be true. In the last few years, news stories have followed brave people as they tell their stories. Sarah, an artist in Georgia, was excited when she heard she had won a big prize. She replied quickly and shared her details, not knowing the caller meant harm. Sarah was left with empty pockets, but chose to warn others. Some say her story helped save many neighbors from falling into the same trap. The struggle against such economic crime is not easy. Each story of loss is a reminder to be careful. Still, people share their lessons in friendly ways. Families come together and talk about how to protect each other from scammers. By telling their stories, people like John, Mrs. Brown, Jackie, and Sarah become heroes, reminding others to keep hope but also use care in the search for a better life. John looked at the message again. "Congratulations! You won $5 million. On the outside, John smiled, but inside, he felt confused and even scared. He showed the email to his friend Mike at the factory. Mike frowned and shook his head. He had heard about scams, but John wanted to believe the good news. behind his hope, worry started to grow. What if he was making a mistake? What if he gave away his personal information to the wrong people? In cities like Pittsburgh and small towns like Weston, more and more people became victims of these tricks. Some, like John, worked long hours and took care of their families. They hoped for a better life, but the hope made them easy targets for crime. The people who send these fake lottery messages learned how to find people who feel lonely or desperate, and that's how the scam continues to spread. Many scammers hide in other countries, making it hard for the police to catch them. They use fake names and call from numbers that cannot be traced. These crooks get richer as innocent people lose money and trust. Every time someone like John sends money or shares details, the criminals win and families lose. The scammers do not care who suffers. They only care about getting money. Sometimes, the problem grows because of rules that have not changed fast enough. Banks and phone companies try to find ways to stop the fraud, but new tricks appear every year. Laws cannot always keep up with what happens online. For a family in rural Indiana, this problem caused great pain. The Skinners were always careful with money. They worked 2 jobs and saved what they could. But Mrs. Skinner got a call one morning, and the man on the line sounded kind and helpful. She was asked for her Social Security number so the prize could be processed. Her trust was broken, and soon their bank account was empty. It was hard for them. Mrs. Skinner cried every night, and Mr. Skinner wondered if they would ever pay back what they lost. The problem also hurts the community. In some places, people stop trusting letters, emails, and even friends. They do not answer the phone, or they delete messages without reading them. Everyday life becomes full of doubt and fear. Many people become afraid to use the internet or to talk about money in public. John's mother, Mrs. Elkins, learned about what happened to her son and felt deep worry. She remembered stories from her youth when neighbors would help and warn each other. Now she felt lost. The leaders at her church began speaking to groups about how scams could happen to anyone. They reminded everyone to check with friends before giving away money, but some people were still ashamed to talk. John's younger sister, Lily, heard about her brother's trouble. At school, other children also spoke about family members who got tricked online. Some teachers brought up news reports during class. They warned everyone about messages that looked too good to be true. Sometimes, anger and sadness replaced hope. In families and neighborhoods, arguments began. People blamed themselves for not seeing the signs. Husbands and wives fought over what to do with more emails that promised big rewards. Brothers and sisters who once shared secrets now felt shy about money. People even stopped giving to charities by mail, worried about scams hiding behind friendly words. These stories show how the lottery scam problem reaches into all parts of life. The criminals stay far away, but their actions break trust that took years to build. Policymakers and banks create new rules, but it takes time for the rules to help everyone. In the meantime, more people wonder who is safe and who is not. For John and many others, each day brings new choices. Should they trust what they read and hear, or should they shut themselves off from the world? The scammers grow stronger when people feel isolated. They send more fake messages during hard times, when local factories close or families lose jobs. People who once laughed together grow quiet, holding on to secrets and doubts. The hope that brought everyone to the lottery also becomes the doorway for pain, as dreams mix with trickery. Every story is different, but the struggle is the same. People fight to keep hope alive, even when it feels difficult to trust again. Things began to change one cool morning when John's sister Lily brought home a small blue flyer from school. The flyer was about how to spot fake lottery scams and who to call for help. Mrs. Elkins read it at the kitchen table, and, for the first time in weeks, she felt a bit of hope. She decided to share the flyer with neighbors, and soon people started talking openly about their fears. John, still feeling pain from his loss, wondered if he could help too. He wanted to protect others from falling into the same trap, but solving the problem of lottery scams was difficult. Some people in the community did not believe scams could happen to them. Others felt too embarrassed to talk about what had happened. Some local leaders wanted stronger rules, but with every idea, there was pushback. A few people in powerful positions worried that more rules might make business harder for honest companies. Bank managers said they could not always catch fake accounts in time. Some politicians said the internet should have better security, but making those changes cost money and time. Every person seemed to have a different idea about what would really help, and not everyone agreed. In these tough times, a smart and caring expert named Dr. Mary Carter started visiting towns like Pineville to talk about economic crime. Dr. Carter had studied scams across the country. She helped write simple guides so people could spot trouble before it started. At the town's library, Dr. Carter explained, "If a message offers something that's too good to be true, you should always talk to someone you trust first." She suggested everyone use easy password tricks, like adding numbers and special marks, to keep their emails and bank accounts safe. She also told people that checking information with a quick internet search could sometimes show if a lottery was real or fake. Dr. Carter believed every community could fight back if they worked together and shared stories. She thought local banks, schools, and churches should make safety circles where people could talk about worries and learn how to protect one another. Some teenagers liked this plan and made groups at their school to help older people use computers safely. Even the post office started adding warning signs about common scams when people came in to mail letters. Still, there were problems. Some older adults were afraid of new technology and did not want to listen, thinking the world had always been this way. Some busy parents worried they did not have time to learn about scams. However, slowly, brave people like Mrs. Skinner stood up at town meetings to share their own stories. Local news reporters began to interview experts and share facts on the radio. More flyers went home with children and soon covered walls at community centers and grocery stores. John watched all these small changes happening. He started joining meetings at the library. Little by little, his own confidence grew. He saw that he was not alone. Others felt the same pain and confusion about scams. With help from new friends and Dr. Carter's guiding words, John learned to write safer emails and recognize warning signs. He agreed to record a small video for the school, telling his story to help protect others. Day by day, as trust grew in the close-knit town, people felt less alone. Neighbors checked on each other more often. Although scammers still tried to hurt people, the community felt stronger together. They learned that no single rule or law fixed everything, but every small action made things better. By working hand in hand, sharing good advice, and believing in the power of community, John and his town found the courage to stand up to economic crime, learning to stay safe one simple step at a time. John sat in the library meeting room, surrounded by familiar faces, friends, parents, and neighbors. It was supposed to be a day for celebrating the town's progress against scams. But that morning, Pineville woke up to troubling news. The mayor's office had warned everyone about a new, very clever lottery scam that was spreading faster than any before. The old tricks were changing. Now, criminals used fake websites that looked almost real, and some even stole faces and voices in video calls. This time, the scam reached more families than ever. Panic started to grow. On the radio, John heard frightened callers share how their money had vanished after clicking a link in a prize email. The media picked up these stories, showing sad faces and empty wallets. TV interviews with hurt families filled the local news. These hard moments became a turning point for the town. Suddenly, national newspapers and big television stations sent reporters to Pineville. With cameras out and questions ready, they wanted to see how the small town was fighting back. On social media, messages appeared with the hashtags #Stop the Scams and #Pineville Strong. Thousands of strangers showed concern and shared tips for safety. These waves of attention from people everywhere made Pineville's story known well beyond Ohio. Things changed quickly. Crowds filled the community center to hear Dr. Carter give a new warning about updated scam tricks. The expert explained that scammers now use stolen childhood photos or created fake prizes that match people's real hobbies. "No one is safe if we don't work together," she said. Local leaders called for new, tougher rules to catch cyber thieves, asking the state government for urgent action. The government in Ohio soon felt the pressure. Passing a new law to help fight tech scams was now a top election issue. Protesters stood in front of the courthouse with signs demanding better protection, while school children handed out "No More Scams" bracelets in the park. The push for action grew louder as news traveled across the country. This attention made lawmakers quickly vote for updates to internet safety, giving police more power and banks new tools to freeze scam accounts. Even companies like SafeNet, a big tech firm, offered to teach older adults how to spot fake prizes and protect their devices for free. Despite this, the scammers fought back. They created new programs that worked faster, sending thousands of fake texts and calls every night. Many people still fell for their tricks, and every loss reminded everyone how careful they must be. The community watched the news, feeling a mix of hope and worry. Some feared the changes were too slow, while others cheered for every story of a person who spotted and stopped a scam in time. John noticed his town's spirit changing. Even those who had once laughed off online dangers now joined meetings or watched Dr. Carter's videos online. News reporters followed the story closely, bringing fresh updates about Pineville's fight into living rooms across the nation. In schools, teachers organized special scam alert days. On sidewalks, neighbors greeted each other with warning stories instead of small talk. The whole country learned from Pineville's hardships, and more towns copied the new safety circles and digital classes. These intense weeks tested everyone. Many nights, John felt his past fears return. He worried about his mother, his friends, and even about strangers in town. But each time he saw people helping each other, and each news story showing courage, his heart grew a little lighter. The struggle was not over, but something in Pineville had changed for good. The challenge was now everyone's fight, and every voice raised in warning was another step toward safety. The sun had barely risen when John's phone buzzed. Almost every home in Pineville woke up to an urgent alert. A massive wave of fake prize messages and scam phone calls had hit the town all at once. Panic filled the streets as parents rushed to check their families' accounts and bank balances. At the school, worried teachers gathered children in classrooms, telling them not to answer any strange emails or calls. The police department set up a hotline for emergencies, and lines were busy all day. This was the breaking point. The scam had come with more speed and power than before. No one felt safe. Even Mrs. Elkins, who locked her online accounts many times, got messages from someone pretending to be her pastor. Everyone was afraid that they or someone they loved would lose everything. All across Pineville, emotions rose fast. Some people slammed phones down in fear or anger. Others, especially older adults living alone, called neighbors for help. Dr. Carter appeared on a live broadcast from the community center, calming people's nerves. She taught viewers, step by step, how to spot the newest tricks. People everywhere stopped what they were doing to listen, their eyes glued to TV screens. In homes, families huddled together sharing lessons they had learned. That day, John realized the town had truly come together as one. The government's reaction was swift. The governor signed a new emergency law, giving the police and banks power to freeze suspicious transactions within minutes. Lawmakers voted late into the night, so these new rules took effect at once. Local leaders made phone trees, where people checked on 5 other families every hour, day or night. Volunteer groups formed to visit those who did not have family, making sure they were safe and not alone. With all these measures, the balance of power began to turn. Bank workers, led by Mrs. Jones at Pineville Savings and Loan, blocked hundreds of scam payments within the first few hours. Police officers traced fake websites and shut them down with the help of big companies. Neighbors stood at doors with flyers, knocking and reminding others how to check their computers. Even the mail carrier played a part, refusing to deliver letters that looked suspicious. For the first time, it felt like the community was pushing back just as strongly as the scammers had attacked. Not everyone escaped untouched. Some families lost hard-earned savings, and there were tears in many homes. But almost everywhere, people spoke with new pride and relief about how they came together. News reporters from around the state came to Pineville, writing about the rush to stop the crime and the courage shown by ordinary people. John gave interviews about the lessons he had learned, his voice timid at first, then stronger as he realized the importance of telling the truth. This intense conflict left deep marks in Pineville. Trust was shaken, but a spirit of care grew stronger than ever before. Town leaders, once quiet, spoke openly and promised to never let their guard down. Dr. Carter's advice became common sense for people of all ages. The hard days were not fully over, but these small victories proved powerful. John looked at his family around the dinner table, thinking about all that had changed. For the first time, he felt not only safe but proud. Together, they had faced a threat that tested their unity, and now they knew what it meant to truly protect one another. Pineville, once a quiet town, had become an example of how even the biggest problem could be faced with teamwork, quick thinking, and open hearts. After the chaotic day when the scam struck Pineville so hard, a quiet relief spread through the homes and streets. John sat on the porch steps, remembering the fear and confusion of those endless calls and messages. He felt older now, more careful, and stronger in ways he had never felt before. The loud panic of that morning had faded, replaced now by quiet talks in homes and cheerful greetings on the sidewalks. Pineville was not the same town it used to be. People moved a little slower, but they watched out for each other more. There was a new sense of respect between neighbors, and even strangers greeted each other with warmth, often asking, "Are you doing okay?" before talking about anything else. Across town, families reviewed what had happened and what they had learned. Mrs. Elkins, sitting at her kitchen table with her family around her, helped write a list of smart steps to stay safe online. She taught them that it is always good to question messages, and told Lily to remind her friends never to trust what they don't understand. Mr. Skinner, his arm around his wife, admitted that protecting yourself sometimes means asking for help from those who know more. He told his children, "There is no shame in being careful, and there is strength in admitting what we do not know." These small but important lessons became a part of everyday life in Pineville. The emergency rules passed by the government began to shape the town's daily routine. Banks set up new systems for alarms, flashing a warning if a customer tried to send money to a strange account. The police offered evening classes about computer security at the library, and Dr. Carter joined to answer questions and share new ways to stay safe. These classes did not end the scam problem, but they gave hope to everyone who attended. Grandparents learned how to double-check an email with their grandkids. Teenagers promised to help their older neighbors and showed them how to use phone filters to block trouble. John reflected on what had changed inside him. Once, he was ashamed that he had been fooled by a scammer, hiding the truth even from his best friend. Now he felt braver, willing to be honest because he saw that many strong people had been tricked too. He was no longer scared to talk about hard things. He remembered the relief when his story helped keep another neighbor from losing money. John saw the power in sharing experiences. The sting of embarrassment faded, and pride filled in the empty places. He knew that protecting the community depended on every person helping the others, day after day. The larger world also turned its eyes toward Pineville. Newspapers wrote about the Pineville Plan, and other towns began to copy the idea of safety circles, neighbor check-ins, and community classes. People from faraway cities wrote letters, thanking the town for showing that victory was possible with teamwork. Social media buzzed with hopeful updates, and experts met with state leaders to shape even stronger laws against digital crimes. Still, the fight against scams was not finished. The criminals behind the attacks changed tactics and kept searching for new victims online. But the balance felt different now. Pineville was ready. The people were alert, united, and confident in their new skills. The scars from the battle remained, but they were matched with pride and a stronger connection among all who had lived through that hard time. The story of Pineville had become more than just about loss or danger. It became a story about how ordinary people, when tested by something deeply unfair, could build trust and courage together. The pain had brought everyone closer, and every lesson was passed down from one person to the next. Each step they took made their future a little safer, their hope a little brighter, and their hearts a little stronger. The weeks after the big scam attack were busy and emotional in Pineville. People in every corner of the town were trying to heal and pick up the pieces. At the bank, Mrs. Jones and her team checked the security systems every morning, double-checking every large payment or new account. She called customers who looked confused about their accounts, using calm words to guide them. Other banks in nearby towns began asking for her help as well, and soon there were bank managers from all over the county sharing advice and resources. Local businesses took a careful look at their own systems, changing how their computers handled customer details, and adding locks and passwords that never used to matter before. At the local hospital, the nurses saw more patients feeling worried and tired. Families came in asking doctors about stress and sleepless nights caused by scam stories still fresh in their minds. The hospital set out a simple flyer. You are not alone. If you feel upset or scared, please talk to someone. Doctors talked to town leaders about setting up support groups inside the community center, and a few counselors came from other towns to offer listening ears. Teachers at the school noticed extra tension in their students. In some classrooms, children seemed distracted, so teachers added lessons about online safety, letting kids share their thoughts and fears openly. School leadership worked with police and parents to keep everyone informed. They included safety reminders in newsletters and even arranged a family tech night where adults and children learned together. Outside of Pineville, farmers from small villages came to attend internet safety seminars. Some had never used email but heard of neighbors being tricked out of selling equipment or losing money to fake offers. They took home booklets to read to their families over supper. Small businesses like the garage changed from handwritten ledgers to safer computer records. Shop owners told customers about simple practices. Don't trust strange phone calls. Protect passwords like house keys, and ask questions if something feels odd. The local church worked with Dr. Carter to reach older adults and those without computers. Volunteers went door to door checking if people received safe, clear messages, stopping by each week just to say, "We care." The library was filled each evening with people learning new computer skills or helping neighbors who still felt nervous about new rules. Even the mayor's office printed monthly updates on scams, sharing stories about victories and mistakes to keep the topic alive. Government workers faced hard choices. New rules about banks and technology caused confusion, sometimes slowing business. Some people did not like setting up extra passwords or waiting longer to move money, but they knew these small steps were needed. State experts met with local leaders, joining together to update plans when new problems appeared or when scammers changed tactics. Many departments received extra training, while town offices kept emergency lines open longer, ready to help anyone afraid. The experience changed not only how people did business, but how they lived with each other and spent time online. Everyone noticed that now, asking for help or sharing a worry was more accepted. The pain from the scam attack lingered, but stronger safety, gentler friendship, and more honest conversations grew in its place. Pineville was not perfect, and trust was sometimes slow to return, but the little town now knew how to handle the unknown, step by step, as one big team. Months had passed since the scam wave upended life in Pineville, and life began to settle into new rhythms. People were no longer as trusting with emails or phone calls as they once had been. At the breakfast table, parents checked their devices before their children, showing them how to spot anything strange or too good to be true. Grandparents would ask younger family members for help before making unusual money transfers, and the simple question, "Does this seem right?" became a normal part of daily talk. Neighbors made a habit of meeting for coffee or walks and shared news about any new messages or tricks they heard about, passing information along faster than ever before. Businesses had changed, too. Stores taught employees to double-check with managers when anything about payments or orders felt odd. Some shops displayed library posters about internet safety near the cash register, hoping the bright colors would remind customers to stay alert. Local banks worked closely with families, offering workshops every month so people could practice safe computer habits together. Restaurants with Wi-Fi started putting up signs reminding customers not to share private information, and owners were no longer shy about reminding a regular customer to be careful if they saw something suspicious. Although people felt safer and stronger, life was not free of worry. A few community members felt that the new security systems made things harder for older or less experienced people. Some worried that rules were changing too quickly and found it hard to remember new passwords or security questions for everything. Every few weeks, the town held open meetings so anyone could share a concern or ask for help. Some debates would turn into friendly arguments. Older people wanted more support, while tech-savvy teenagers sometimes grew impatient, wishing things were simpler. Yet, these talks ended with a sense of teamwork because everyone wanted to protect the people they cared about. As things got safer in Pineville, other challenges appeared. Some small businesses found it hard to keep up with the cost of safer technology, needing more money for new computers or software training. Nonprofit groups worked together to help, sometimes holding bake sales or tech support days, where volunteers of all ages fixed older computers and updated safety programs. One church even donated tablets to low-income families, and local charities gave simple lockboxes for private papers. On the economic side, the local government watched carefully. Some families delayed buying big items or opening new small businesses until they felt more confident. Town leaders, including the mayor, promised regular updates about new scam trends and sent easy-to-read leaflets to every household in the county. Everyone agreed that slowing down and checking things more often cost time, but it was now a normal part of staying safe together. Out in the wider world, larger towns and cities read about Pineville's safety circles and clubs. Some communities started neighborhood cyber nights, modeled after what the little town had done. At the same time, debates about privacy and security found their way into the state newspapers. Some people said more rules meant less freedom, while others answered that a few small limits were worth the safety and peace of mind. In these public talks, Dr. Carter's advice and real stories from Pineville were often mentioned as proof that there could be balance, safety and freedom living side by side. Not everything was perfect, but there was a quiet sense of pride. Even as a few new scams popped up, Pineville now had habits, systems, and opened doors for anyone who needed help. Children grew up learning not only math and reading, but also how to protect their hopes and resources. The lessons of the scam crisis became part of daily life. Families and businesses stayed cautious, and the spirit of working together only grew. John walked down Main Street one crisp morning, feeling the quiet ease that had slowly returned to Pineville. Shop windows were filled with familiar faces and handwritten signs about safety, while family cars rolled past the old library, where children's laughter now mixed with the sound of computer keys. Looking back, John saw how much had changed since the first time hope and fear mixed together after the scam. The pain his family felt was deep, but it had planted seeds for habits that were helping everyone, not just in Pineville, but in other towns as well. The biggest lesson was clear to John. Real safety did not come from one law or a single invention, but from living the lesson day by day. Banks kept improving and checking new programs, and schools wrote new classes on how to keep personal information safe. Most neighbors had become much more aware of threats, making sure to check in on each other, especially when strange messages showed up again. People no longer waited for experts to fix everything for them. Every person was now a part of the solution. Young people, who once forgot to pay attention to these problems, taught grandparents how to use apps that kept messages private. Friends gathered on Fridays at the park for safe tech talks, helping each other stay up to date. The police kept their helplines open, and Dr. Carter returned again and again to speak not just in Pineville, but in changing towns nearby. She said the real win was not just avoiding scams, but building trust and teaching honesty, so every generation paid attention to each other's worries. On the government level, officials made new plans that could be changed quickly if scammers switched tactics. Lawmakers invited everyday people to suggest new ideas, believing that rules work best when everyone had a hand in making them. The mayor led a group that kept finding ways to pay for security lessons or new computers in public places, saying, "We all rise when the least safe among us is helped first." Now Pineville saw the benefits of caring and communication in daily life. Families, once shy about talking over problems, now found pride in speaking the truth and working things out early. Small businesses hired local experts who had learned from the crisis to help them keep growing. Older adults felt less alone, knowing someone would check in or walk them through a new system line by line. Children practicing computer safety drills in school were proud to be part of keeping their families safe, and sometimes caught tricky messages before parents did. After all this, John felt hopeful. He saw that real change, lasting, honest, and shared, would only come if people never stopped sharing stories or asking for help when unsure. He understood finally that a strong community is not built only by walls or cameras, but by open hands, careful eyes, and steady hearts. The story of Pineville's struggle and survival became a quiet lesson, showing that mistakes do not ruin a place forever, but can light up new ways to protect dreams and give everyone a fair chance at a good future. Long into the future, the habits learned during the hard days still shape the town's spirit. By working together and never giving up, they made a safer world not only for themselves, but for neighbors near and far. The echoes of kindness and awareness grew strong roots, reaching out through simple acts each day. As John looked at his family and friends living with greater courage and wisdom, he smiled, certain that tomorrow would always be brighter if they walked towards it, step by careful step, united as one.